Sunshine's Corner, being brought to you by Quint and Richie Studer.
And a beautiful day it is. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. You've stepped into the hottest spot in town. And of course, you have stepped into where? Sunshine's Corner, where I always encourage you to be a part of the show. Now, today, being Thursday, this is what, Halloween? Ooh, but do I have a trick for you? The trick that I have today is going to educate you on some things, especially with Project 2025, that you may not be aware of. Now, I know that we're in the midst of early voting, and of course, Tuesday next week is going to be the grand finale. But what I want to try to do today with my guests is to educate you on some things that possibly you're not as knowledgeable on, that you've heard some things, but today we are going to share facts. We are going to take away that myth that you've been told by so many things that hadn't been so truthful. But today, sit back, relax, and get your pen. And if you would like to, I want to encourage you as well to be a part of this show. If there's something you think that we're not telling you the right answer, we got the proof with us today. And I want to welcome in my good friend, Mr. Jeff Nall. He is here. He is here, and we are ready, Jeff, because we are going to tackle Project 2025 so that all the viewers will know just how important this is. I want to say this. It's going to pull out and let us know whether you are voting for what? Democracy? Or are you voting for what? Dictatorship.
Well, Sunshine, thank you for having me. You know, you picked the perfect day to have this because this is some freaky stuff.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, I mean, it's beyond scary. It's dangerous.
I'm telling you.
So we want to help people understand, you know, if they've heard anything about Project 2025, it's 920-page document.
Yeah.
We're all busy. Our eyes glaze over.
That's
right.
right.
But I want to tell people, in this case, this is not a concept of a plan.
That's right.
This is a blueprint.
This is a blueprint.
For an undemocratic, authoritarian presidential administration.
That's right.
So what we want to do today, or what I would like us to do today, is to help folks see how this impacts them.
Exactly.
You know, for just a quick example, it talks about dismantling governmental agencies.
Oh God, yes.
Well,
scary.
But what does that mean to you and me?
Exactly.
The environmental protection, you know, the Weather Service. So we want to get down to how this actually impacts our community and the U.S. citizens at large.
Most certainly. And a lot of people, I'm sure, they say, oh yeah, I've heard about this, but this can't be that way. But yes, it is, because when there is a plan that's put together, really a blueprint like we call it, that's going to affect not only me, but you and you too. So therefore, I believe what we're going to share today is going to be an eye-opener, because for those who have not voted, you're going to see just how important it is, why we are stressing the fact that this is what you are stepping into if you're not prepared. And there's no way around it. It's been promised that this will take place if the election goes the way some other people want it to go.
Well, this blueprint was created with the Heritage Foundation in partnership with about 100 other organizations, many of which have very close ties to white Christian nationalism, which is a whole other show in and to itself.
Yes, Lord.
But it basically comes down to 4 parts. One is like a playbook of preparing these agencies to get more loyalists in the agencies and to deregulate them in a way that I feel is harmful to the public.
Most certainly.
There's also a part of this where they're going to try to think of a private, ultra-conservative LinkedIn, create a database of folks ready to fill some of these positions because they want to get rid of civil servants and replace them. And many civil servants have worked for all kinds of administrations, got their head down doing the work. And institutional knowledge is key. You know?
It is.
So we don't want them to be left out. The other is a presidential academy. You know, talk about indoctrination.
Yes, Lord.
Planning people, getting people in the queue for these jobs. And the last part is actually a 180-day plan. Right. With concrete, this is what we want to do. So we'll just go through that.
We're going to go through, and I want to bring this point up too, because I was watching the other night, and it really stuck with me very much so. There's also being said, as far as with if a person of color, especially anybody who's arrested, whereas they want to take away that I'm talking about with the police officers. You've seen what it is with black crime. You've seen it, what it is. My dear friends, how it is that let's even go back to George Floyd. Let's think about the things. If all of this is taken away, if that is thrown away, what chances do you have it's going to take away all the rights that you have, that it can be just pushed under the rug. But it will be by law that we don't have to do anything, can't do anything with that if that law is passed. And I say that because you see just how strongly it is. So I want you to pay attention today. I want you to really pay attention to the facts that we're going to share with you that's right there planned for us. But we are the one that's in charge now. We can make this happen. We can fire and hire.
Exactly
I like
right.
to say this. We can fire and hire. So let's hire the right person for this position, so we won't have to worry about some of these, not just concepts, the blueprint of things that's planned to go in place if we don't vote the right way.
Well, when you're talking about voting, I think I've told you before, when they talk about movies, they say the sequel is always worse.
Yeah.
Well, we know what this case would be because we've seen the script.
We've
We're
already
talking
seen the
about it.
script, exactly.
And what a lot of people don't know is there was a previous version of this document under the first Trump administration, the only Trump administration, and 64% of it was implemented within 100 days. So we've been down this path before. It didn't get the publicity that it's getting now.
No doubt.
And I think people in Florida, think of all the things that we've been through in the last 2 years. We've literally been the lab rats for Project 2025.
Absolutely.
So
Say
if
that again.
anybody-
I like that, the lab rats. We have been there.
So if anybody should understand,
It should be.
it's Floridians.
That's right. No doubt about it. And it's something else I want to emphasize too for our community. And what I'm running into as a lot of, I keep hearing this, and I keep hearing this on the street. There was a gentleman who's called several times, well, I'm not going to vote for Kamala because of this. And something else that bugs me, Jeff, I have to say it. How does he pronounce her name? Camilla, something like that. Trump, how you pronounce her name? He does that on purpose. But the fact of it is, I want to, for this gentleman, I hope that he's paying attention today when we talk about this. When you were talking about, how she locked up so many people, who has more qualifications? Let's talk about qualifications as well. Now, all this is going to boil down to what's in Project 2025.
Right.
Now, the fact of it is, I know a lot of black men, and we had Dundre, he was talking about the things that he was running into as far as with the young people about this very cause. That Vice President had locked up so many of our black people. Wrong answer. Do your research. Only 45. And it was not even, pointed out whether it was all black. It was a combination, so you don't see that. But you're thinking it was so many of us that she affected. I want you to think about this as well. This is strictly devastating to me. What are the qualifications you're looking for that she does not have? Think about that. Put qualifications against qualifications. Who has the qualifications?
When you're talking about the justice system, part
Yes.
of Project 2025 is to, bring the Justice Department under the administration.
Yes.
They should be separated.
It should be.
So when it goes, it's just all in line for retaliation and
That's
revenge.
how it's going to be.
So our justice system is at play.
It is. And I want you to feel free now. If you would like to be a part of this conversation, let me hear from you. 850-432-7768. I want to hear when we share these points. I want to hear what it is that what's your perception of what we're reading that you don't see the same way that we see. Let's go with some notes here, Jeff, that we've got.
Yeah, while some callers are formulating the questions, let's just get some snapshot overview. So Project 2025 would limit access to food assistance, and that's an average of 40 million people rely on that every month. That's 21.6 million households, many of which have children, elderly, and disabled folks.
That's right.
The American Rescue Plan has created 220,000 jobs that would be eliminated. You mentioned civil rights protections. That's under attack across multiple fronts.
All the way.
Cutting DEI programs.
That's right.
Workplace, all kinds of discrimination, and roll back the work that the civil rights activists have worked so hard to do.
They want to take it away.
Eliminating Head Start.
My God.
1 million children are helped by Head Start to prepare for school.
That's right.
And that also ties into Title I. And if they take that out, then that 6% of our teachers will not have a job.
Thank you, and we need them so badly.
And that's 22 million, across the country. Lower prescription drug prices. A lot has been done to, pocketbook issue drug prices, and they want to continue to do that. This would be reversed.
Right.
Cut overtime protections. The Biden administration started a policy where more people were eligible to get overtime. This would roll that back. So that would cut overtime for 4.3 million workers in the United States.
Did y'all hear that? How many? 4.3 million. These are not concepts. These are what? This is the blueprint.
That's exactly right. And then foster care. You know, we know even locally the struggle. You know, there's 368 million children in foster care. This pushes ideology. These kids are already dealing with stress and emotional and probably not the best home life. And if they're forced into some very regimented households, that's just adding to that stress and keeping them from being productive as they get older.
Exactly.
You know, in education across the board, student loans.
Oh my God, yes.
This would roll back any efforts to lessen the burden of student loans. So I want our listeners to really think listen and realize this is not some pie in the sky
this is what's happening.
Talk on TV that doesn't affect their pocketbook.
Exactly. And we're not sitting here just talking on TV. We're giving you facts. Because of the fact of what we want you to understand that's right there before us, that we as a people, not just some of us, now, this will affect all of us in our everyday living. And look at the things that's what's so bothersome to me that's trying to be taken away. And when you go back to the civil rights, okay, all of those days, the people that we respect and love for how they suffered and died for us want to take that away. And my question is, why would you want to do that? Is there a fear? I don't understand the concept of why I take it away, but I think there's a fear of that control. I believe there's a thing called control. When you say when I look at democracy and dictatorship, I want to be in control of everything. It's all about me. Now that's the way I see it, and we as a people cannot allow that to happen. And I say I want us to realize this: we've got the power. We've got the power ourselves to hire and fire if we do not agree with what being put before us.
You're exactly right when you talk about control. Flip that around. We have the control.
Absolutely.
We have the control to hire and fire if we get out and vote.
Say that again. If we get out and vote. You got to get out and vote, ladies and gentlemen. It cannot be any other thing else. And I say this for those who are here say, oh, I'm not going to vote. It's not going to affect me. Wrong answer. Because when you do not exercise your right, guess what? You've already voted. And get out and take that time. If you really want to be a part of deciding who's going to be in the leadership over us so that we have someone that's going to be looking out for us and not looking over us to take away from us. I want you to think about that. Go vote and vote the way where you see that we need to grow and not to we're not going back there anymore. We need to move forward. Somebody's calling. Let's see who this is this morning. I hope I hit the right button there. Maybe I didn't. Good morning.
Good morning, Sonshine. Good morning, Jeff. How are y'all doing this beautiful day?
Oh, we are doing absolutely fantastic.
Absolutely wonderful.
I am enjoying just the early morning talk about Project 25 and the importance of how severity that it is. I'm a product of a child that started out in preschool in a church. I went to a Head Start, and I am a product of that. I work in the field of social work, child welfare, so I'm a product of that. And all of these things that you're talking about affect me. I'm a student that's been in college many years. I have student loans. And so every aspect of everything that Project 25 want to diminish will affect me. And that's why I'm making sure that I get my voice heard by voting. It's so important for us to really understand why we should vote and get a grasp understanding of that. And I appreciate y'all taking the time out to give us the information, to make us aware of what's going on and what's at stake for our future.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, we're going to do our very best to serve it up just right. We're not talking a concept. We got facts today.
Exactly. That's what we need. It's time out for all the craziness and all the antics and the rhetoric. We need the facts. And that's what everybody needs to keep on hearing, the facts, the facts, the facts.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Eric.
Yeah, thank you so much.
You're welcome, y'all. Thank y'all, and keep up the great work.
Thank you.
We're going to do our very best.
Well, Eric brings up some very good points.
I tell you what, before we go to Eric's point, thank you, Eric. We're going to let's go to break. Then we're
Okay.
going to come back. You and I can roll.
We
But
can-
everybody,
Thank
we're
you.
talking about Project 2025, but we want you to be a part of this conversation. If there's something that you feel that's important that needs to be said, please don't hesitate. Call us up at 850-432-7768. And let me put this out there again. Now, for today, don't forget, it is Halloween. And tonight, you're going to see a lot of kids knocking on doors. And I want to invite everybody out to bring your kids over to the safe Halloween that we're going to have there at the Fricka Center. Going to kick it off at 6 o'clock this evening. We got the haunted hallways that's going to be there. Going to take them on outside. All of the cars that thank you for coming in to participate so that we can make sure our kids are safe, but yet get all the candies they need. Stay with us. We got more with you right here on Project 2025.
My father was from Mexico. He had me in this country. My mother, her side of the family was a combination of German, Russian, Polish, typical American story. Because of their, wanting to come to this country for a better life, one of the biggest parts of that was having a vote. I live in this country. One of my most important rights is the right to cast a vote. You're an American citizen. You have the right to vote. Take advantage of that right. Affect change around you that you want to see. My name's Eduardo Lara, and I am strongly encouraging you to just vote.
Good day, Pensacola. Welcome to a new segment on health and wellness sponsored by Baptist Healthcare in partnership with Sonshine's Corner. Every first Wednesday of the month during Sonshine's telecast, we're going to be bringing you information about health and wellness and ways to make sure we're improving the quality of your health care here in Pensacola. After all, we want to ensure that you're going to the right place at the right time and for the right reason and that you don't feel alone. Can't wait to see you.
When I saw the tumor on the MRI, my first thought was, am I going to be able to see my daughter again? The doctors knew if I did not end my pregnancy, I would lose my baby, I would lose my life, and my daughter would lose her mom. Florida has now banned abortion, even in cases like mine. Amendment 4 is going to protect women like me. We have to vote yes.
I'm Emily Echeverria, Marketing Communications Director for Council on Aging of West Florida and the host of Coming of Age. Watch our show to find out what we're doing for our seniors and their families and hear from area experts and local business owners about their programs and services. Want to help? Find out how you can work with us to bring a better future to our seniors. Watch Coming of Age, 3:30 p.m. Wednesdays, only on Blab TV.
And welcome back to this Thursday edition of Sunshine's Corner, where we are talking about a topic that we should have been covering even more so than now. Project 2025, the effects that will affect you coming up. if by chance, you don't go out and vote to put your voice in to cause us to make sure that you help in this democracy that's going on right now, that you can be a decision maker. And that's the purpose of, I reiterate this strongly, Jeff, because I can hear, and I'm such a lover of Dr. King for what he did. It was Malcolm X, all of them, who died, all the way back there. I could hear him even when he would speak. He said, please, let's not let these things bypass us. We've got the strength as a people to make the change. But we can't sit here and say, okay, I want to change. And then if you do not exercise your God-given right to vote, I don't want to hear from you afterwards. I don't want to hear from you because you gave up the opportunity to be a part of making that decision. Be it whatever it is, and I'm not trying to tell nobody who to vote for. But what I am stressing strongly is this: exercise your right. That's the only way that we as a community can speak the loudest.
And you mentioned, it is a right, and that is very, very true. It's also a responsibility.
Yes, it is.
It's a responsibility out of respect for
Yes,
elders that have gone before
Yes.
and fought some of these battles that we thought
We're done with.
we're done with. And it's also a responsibility for the generations that come
That's
after.
to come.
You talk about some of the civil rights leaders that have since passed away. They fought for the generation now that's benefiting from
For all the things back then.
all that. So,
but of course.
so somebody did it for us. So we are obligated to be responsible to those who follow us.
Most certainly. I want to give Dondre Wise a great big shout out. He follows my page. He reads everything I put up. He shares the things that are important to the community. And with him trying, it's the fact that he's putting forth an effort to reach the group that's younger generation who I think, and yes, I'll say this, we really got to educate them. We must, so that they can understand that it affects them just as much, because they're going to be our leaders for tomorrow, Jeff.
That's right.
Those are the ones.
And a shout out to a big event he's got coming up this Saturday in Belmont de Villiers. He's going to really focus on young people, get them fired up, and provide rides to the polls.
He is?
So Belmont de Villiers, I want to say it starts at noon. So Dondre, if you're listening, call in and give us those hours exactly. But yes, and he's just one of many. I mentioned one time before, Haley Morissette's campaign.
Oh, yes.
They are using some tactics that are common amongst their generation for communication.
Yeah.
That, age is relative these days. So
that's all. I've been part of her too.
So, and it's Nate Douglas down in the Orlando area.
Right.
Very young African-American man in a very tight race, and they're just throwing all kinds of
shade.
Crazy stuff.
That's the young people word. They're throwing that shade.
But they're going after the college folks. So I think there's a movement amongst the young people, because they are beginning to see that, well, maybe I took that for granted because Mama and Daddy and Grandma and Grandpa took care of that, but it's not looking so good right now.
Exactly, and we want that to be their understanding for them. Somebody's calling. We got another question here.
Okay, great.
Let's go to the phone lines. Good morning.
Good morning. I got a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, I would like to find out if so happened Donald Trump wins the election. He's a convicted felon and a convicted rapist. Will he be able to serve? Because we have a lot of people cannot get jobs because they have a lousy one felon on their resume or behind them. So will this man be allowed to serve as Commander-in-Chief?
That is an excellent question.
That is where the Department of Justice comes in. If the Department of Justice is more closely tied under the White House, all of those cases could go away.
Go away? Did you hear that, caller?
Go away. Yeah, I hear it go away.
So we need to make sure that doesn't happen.
Okay, so now let's go. Don't hold up, caller. I want to find this out as well. So, and I'm not, because I've always had this question in my mind, because I know that there's so many people that have a felon on their record, and they have to go through this whole process in order even to vote. My thing is, I don't understand why, if he's been convicted of 34 or 35, that he has the right. 34. Thank you, ma'am. That can get and then run for the highest office in the land.
Well,
that's right.
As Vice President Harris says, let the courts take care of that. But I do want to point out that what I was saying, like, for example, Special Counsel Jack Smith and the cases down in Florida about the top secret documents. A president with a more closely aligned Justice Department could just fire him, and that case goes away. It would be. Let's put it this way: if I had that legal situation going on, I'd be wanting to win so I could take care of myself.
Okay, so that's one reason why he's trying so hard. Oh, well, I hope that answers your question, caller, because we're finding out things ourselves that we. Now, this is another thing where I want people to realize. This is another reason it is so important that you vote.
Well, I have already voted, but my thing is also is people have a hard time getting living.
Say that again.
Hotels, apartments, houses, because they have a felony on their record, and it's just not fair. He seems like he above the law when it comes to everything, and I fault the journalists as well, because the journalists, to me, is not doing their job. They always going after what Kamala says and not what Trump says. They up there on the uproar about Biden making a comment about what his comedian said about Puerto Rico.
Absolutely.
Instead of what Trump didn't do anything. He had 4 hours to come on stage and say, I don't agree with that.
Absolutely.
He didn't do anything.
Absolutely. I agree. I agree. We are on the very same page, and this is another reason we are really, really emphasizing and stressing the importance of us voting. We've got to. I mean, and I know you said you haven't been there yet, but I know you'll be there because we got the Tuesday to do it.
Oh, I done did mine.
Oh.
Thank you for doing that, and thank you for the question, because these are the kind of thought processes we need people to be thinking about.
Right. Thank you so very much. We got to stay on the positive line. Let's put these people in the position that we want in the position.
Thank you. Yes.
Thank you.
Can I go back to Eric's call?
Yes.
You know, Eric gave a perfect example of talking about growing up, going to Head Start, you know, going through junior high, high school,
right,
getting a master's degree, doctorate, be a social worker. You know, that's a product of the public education.
Exactly.
And when they're talking about eliminating Head Start, restricting what you can learn and read and talk about in school.
Black history.
Exactly, amongst others. And then you're talking about student loans. It's expensive.
It is.
And so Eric just walked us through a whole lot of the stops on the education pipeline, and education is power.
Yes, it is.
So it goes back to knowledge is power, education is power.
Yes.
Our public education, you know, there's several things that would happen to the Department of Education, privatizing charter schools. You know, we've seen what's happened with privatized prisons.
Yes, Lord.
Somebody owns them and somebody's getting a profit.
Big time.
You don't want the schools to go that way, but we're seeing that in Florida.
Most certainly. And so, ladies and gentlemen, just like the caller, she made some great points. What are you feeling today? I mean, you don't have to state your name. We don't see your name on the phone. But if you want to be a part of this conversation, this is how we get to solutions. Let me hear what you're saying. Let me put mine together. Maybe we can open your eyes on some things. Maybe we can show you some things that you're not seeing just as yet. But we're going through with facts, just like the example we gave with Eric, who's gone through the steps of life.
Steps of life.
That is the steps of life. We all have to go that route to get to where he is a social worker today. But there was a process that he had to go through. So let's not allow everything that has been fought for so that we can get that process to make it better in life. Let's not allow that to be taken away from us so that we can be the product of dictatorship. Let's do that today, Prince. When we say Project 2025, I had to print this. I wanted it to come out in color, but it didn't. You see how pretty that is? Well, you can't see it on my, there it is. Project 2025. We got talking points to even talk about that today. It is so much, Jeff, that goes on.
There is a lot, and that's why it's really important. And I thank you for providing the opportunity to distill some of this.
Yes.
And you know, Eric talked about life process. Another life process is getting older.
Yes.
You know, they're proposing changes to veterans benefits. This would limit the benefits available to veterans by reducing the number of qualifying conditions.
Wow.
These are people that have served our country.
Absolutely.
That need to be cared for. And to reverse that.
Thank you.
Medicare and Medicaid. So many people depend on Medicaid. And to make those restrictions, and a lot of those households have children, older people, people with disabilities.
Right.
That's a large number of people, as I mentioned, you know, early on. Social Security. You know, hey, I'll be looking for mine soon.
Come on now.
You know, so, and one of the great things that Vice President Harris has talked about recently that I hope people are listening to is including in-home care with Medicare. Go back to my Council on Aging days. You know,
those are the days.
Not everybody wants to go to a nursing home or assisted living facility.
Right.
And most people can't afford it.
Absolutely.
And most people would also prefer to be in their own home.
Most certainly.
But hiring that caregiver to come in so you can go to work or so you can go pick up your kids, paying for that caregiver is not covered by anything. That's out of your pocket.
Not at all.
And there's no reason that American people should have to dig in their pocket to be respectful and provide dignity to their elders.
Absolutely.
And that is a huge component that she is adding, where Project 2025 is talking about cutting benefits. She's talking about increasing.
Increasing. And see, these are things that we're talking that possibly you've heard, but we want to allow you to hear it again, because right now we're in the midst of voting. And so that when you make that decision, when you go into that booth, that you know that you're voting for not only you, but things that's going to benefit days to come. Don't allow things to be taken away that has been fought for so that we could have what we have now. And please, I can't say this enough. I don't know about you, but I like to be transparent when I talk with you every day. Some of these things and the things that it frightens me that if it happens, it's really frightening to see what will happen to the American people. And I think that some people think that it won't affect them. He's not going to do this to me. It's not going to be that way. But love, it will affect you.
It will. And, we were talking about life experiences.
We have a text message question, Jeff.
Okay, text question.
Read it to me. They want you to explain to them what candidates attire at the polls. Did I read that? Did you say that right? What you mean, clothing? Oh, they want to know, can you wear at the polls a T-shirt? If I want to wear a Kamala Harris or I want to wear a Trump, can you do that?
Yes, you can. A voter is perfectly fine to wear whatever they want.
Okay.
Now, what you can do and say and aggravate or harass or whatever other voters, that's a no-no.
You saw the one on TV there.
And there's a boundary of 150 feet outside of every voting location.
Okay.
And if you're really doing some campaigning, you need to be beyond
that 100 feet.
That 150 feet. But if you are minding your own business and you want to go in and vote, your attire is up to you.
Okay.
But you do need to be
mindful of that.
Mindful of that 150-yard line, 150 feet line for what might be considered advocating or campaigning.
Absolutely. I think what they're referencing to that was last night. It was a great big report that came in that there was a heckler there, and they was he was within the 100 the feet. However, he threw up a machete over his head and said what he would do with that machete. I saw I saw it last night myself. I'm sure that's what they're talking about. But the fact of it is, now he has, hopefully, a felon. That could be a felony with that weapon. And I hope, you know what went through my head then, right? It's the fact that let's not allow people to get to that. And I want to say this. Why do you feel it's necessary to come out with a machete to tell me who I should vote for?
Well, that's intimidation, and you can flip that around. One, it's not the right thing to do. It should cause some people concern, but it also should give them power.
Exactly.
Because if it wasn't going to go the way that they don't want it to go, they wouldn't be there.
Now, that's the point I want to come out.
Smile and say, I must be really getting to you.
Exactly.
Just my presence.
That's right. What is that bothering you so bad that I got to do this?
So just be strong, hold your head up.
And do what you got to do.
Take care of yourself, be mindful of your surroundings. And there are people at the polls that are watching for those type of things. So do not
feel intimidated by that.
Do not feel intimidated. Thank you.
But you're quite welcome. Do not allow that intimidation to cause you to fear going in, casting your vote, speaking your loudest. And I'll say this, and I do it with a pretty smile on my face. I have to agree with Jeff 100%. And yes, I do have this right. If it weren't something there that you were fearful of, you wouldn't be doing it. If the power that you see now that's happening, did not cause you to do one of those, to get a little fearful there, it wouldn't be happening. So that's why I say to the community, vote. We'll be back and talk about more right here. Project 2025 on Sunshine's Corner.
You finally found the perfect car in racing blue. You even got them to throw in the LED fog lights for free. Auto Owners insures your car because some people never learn to parallel park. That's simple human sense.
Ask the Messick Insurance Agency in Pensacola if auto owners make sense for you.
Keep going. More. No, stop!
I remember the doctor handing me a baby boy that was blue, and I just held him because he was so cold. Due to the abortion ban, I was being forced to carry the baby from 23 weeks all the way to 37 weeks, and knowing that my son was going to die.
Having to watch your wife be in pain and continue to tell her to keep going, that everything's gonna be okay, knowing it's not. That was the hardest thing.
Government had no right to do that to my family. This ban is torture.
You're not going to vote. Seriously? Do you want your rights taken away? Seriously? You say that you're not going to vote, but you do? Well, think about it. If you don't, you've already lost them. Let me tell you something. If you do not vote, then you're giving up your rights. Think about it. I just need you to just vote. And welcome back to Sunshine's Corner. We're having a fantastic conversation today. And for those who are viewing today, thank you so very much for your input. And I want to invite you as well. If you do not want to call, you can text as well. That same number, 850-432-7768. But I want to hear from you. I strongly believe in conversation. Conversations opens up the door to find better solutions. So let's talk about it. Your opinion. But we got the facts. Let's talk about these facts together. We're talking Project 2025, and we were also talking about so many things that it affects, Jeff. And to get people to know that we can't just sit idle and say, okay, I'm just going to let it be what it's going to be. It doesn't affect me. My vote's not going to matter. Wrong answer. I hate that. Your vote does matter. Otherwise, we wouldn't have to vote.
It does matter, and I want to go back to some of the working things, because people say, well, it's the economy. Well, the economy is actually pretty good. Mm-hmm. Inflation is down, but there are some high prices still. And
yes,
Vice President Harris has acknowledged that and is willing to take that on across the board. But people are concerned about their paycheck. Mm-hmm. As we mentioned in the intro, eliminating so many people that have just gotten the ability to receive overtime.
Right.
That's a huge pay cut.
Yes, Lord.
If that gets away. And then the Economic Development Agency provides grants for infrastructure projects. So with projects comes jobs.
That's right.
So that would reduce the number of available jobs. And then also, as we have seen in Florida, this would weaken child labor protections and enable or allow children to work in dangerous situations. That's not good.
That's not good at all. It's just so many things that's not good that they're trying to put on.
So there's so many things that affect work, and then the other things, pocketbook, as we've talked about, prescription drugs. If they want to reduce or eliminate the efforts to reduce the price of medication, that's a big expense for some people, especially seniors or people with multiple conditions. The other thing is, just this, think about the insurance prices that everybody's talking about.
I'm one.
And they want to eliminate the weather service in NOAA, who tracks the hurricanes.
And we live where?
And we live in Florida. And we are already struggling. And we also look at flooding here. There's so many areas in Pensacola that so many people, I see the photos in the video year after year moving out of the same apartments,
Exactly, and the cars are floating down the street.
Yeah.
I mean, even downtown was on the water here. What was it, Sally?
Yeah, and then there's a, you hear Francine Mathis talk a lot about water quality and just what's in our land and landfills and things like that. So the EPA created an Office of Environmental Justice and External Civil Rights, excuse me. They want to take that back. So when we have an office that's looking at environmental justice and how it impacts, and many times communities of color.
Yes, Lord.
That is, a lot of these communities have traditionally borne the brunt of some very unhealthy living conditions.
But of course.
That are tied to the environment. Why would we want to take that back?
But Jeff, I think that, what I see has been proven. And I don't know why. And I thought it was gone. We touched on racism a moment ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to be totally transparent. I thought it was gone. I thought it was not as deep as it is. But it has been proven here in the last several years that it is very relevant today. It is so prevalent now in our communities that it affects everything you do. And I'm telling you, if I could tell you, if we had 5 hours, and I could tell you some stories that I dealt with in the last 5 years, it would blow your mind. It would literally blow your mind. Mm-hmm. And the things that are affecting not only me, and sometimes we as a black community, and I'll say that because it's tan I have, but we have to prove ourselves over and over. We have to prove ourselves over and over and in a different way. And that is so frustrating. And now it will be even more difficult because I think he has a problem with people of color. I'm just going to be honest with you. Now, you and I have been like sister and brother for years, but you see, everybody's not like that. Mm-hmm. But it's so befitting for us now, my dear friends, because it's being put to the top. I think with what the leader allowed to happen was this. The things that were being suppressed in some gave them the opportunity to let it out without any repercussions behind it. And that is only trying to take us back because he was in a speech here not long ago. He said he wished it was in the 1700s. What happened in the 1700s? That was slavery. Mm-hmm. So therefore, what am I saying to you? I wanted to ask this question too. And I want somebody to help me with this. They want to make America great. Was it great in 1700s? Was it great with Washington? He owned slaves, 300, right? So many. I want to know when it was great.
Right.
If somebody can make that tell me when it was great. Was it great for me 5 or 6 years ago? No. Is America great then? No. Is America great? What is it you're going to take it back to make it great? To own slavery? To bring back the dictatorship that has us so tied down? No, sirree. So this is the part that I want to harp on. I go back to that, Jeff, because, and I have to say this, being a woman of color, it will never be understood what I feel on the inside. As much as I love you with a perfect kind of love, you could never feel or understand what I feel.
That's right.
But what I have had to go through just to be what I am, and I'm not one of those that's not educated. I've been through the Head Start, went through the student loans, just paid them off, got my degrees, worked in the workforce, but yet and still being a woman of color, there's so many things that I have to overly produce. So exactly. And all I'm saying is these type things that we're not going to take the opportunity to go back. We need to move forward. And that is what I see, and I'll say it boldly, that Vice President Harris is offering. And I'm not going to say that because she's a black woman, because it's been questioned whether she's black, whether she's an Indian, whoever she is. She knows how it feels. She worked at McDonald's. She worked and got herself through college to become the prosecutor that she is.
I think she understood. I think her life experience, not only her personal identity, but from being a attorney general and prosecutor. Mm-hmm. She performed the first same-sex marriage in California.
Yes.
My community, the LGBTQ community. Right. We can't compare whose drama is worse. But
you understand.
But there are certain things that we can understand better than maybe other people.
That's the point made. Great.
And that we can empathize with each other, whatever that experience was. And there is so much discrimination and racial discrimination, and they're wanting to remove that from housing, from education.
Yes.
But also, and I will speak a little bit about my community.
Please.
some of these same things about jobs, workplace protections.
Yes.
You know, you've heard the saying, you know, you can get married on Saturday and put your picture where the two wives or two husbands on the desk and get fired on Monday.
Exactly.
You know.
Exactly.
That's where we live.
Exactly.
And think about the school kids and the book banning. It's you know, it's not only LGBTQ books, it's African American history books or books with characters of any minority. So though all of our experiences are different, we share a common boat, shall we say.
Yes, we do.
And
we're paddling the same way.
we're paddling the same way, and we're going forward.
Yes.
And we have a new opportunity to turn the page and go forward together. And I think that's what America needs. All this stuff, if I look through all this stuff that we've read, and you know, we can't talk about 920 pages, but it's all, the key word is reverse.
Exactly.
Revert. Disable. I mean, all the words throughout these documents are negative words.
Exactly.
That take us back, and we're not going back.
We're not going back. So we want to encourage you today to please think about it. It is time for us to move forward. No more of that rhetoric that you hear every day. I am so sick of it. And the only way that we can do it, we got to go out and vote. I'll say this, and it was Jermaine Williams who made me realize this one day, although I knew it was the way he said it. He said, we don't realize and exercise the right that we have the right to hire and fire. We can put you in and we can take you out. But the only way you do that is you got to vote. We're going to come back and talk more about Project 2025. Don't forget about tonight at the Fricker Center for the kids. We got the safe party for them. I want you parents to know that we're doing this so that we can be safe. We got the Pensacola Police Department's going to be there, so you know we're going to be safe. They're going to be there, and we're going to have them in a closed-in area. We got plenty candy for them. Got the haunted hallways to make them scream and have a good time, but it's going to be all safe. Kicking off this afternoon at 6 o'clock at the Fricker Center. I'll see you there. Stay close. We got more with you on Sunshine's Corner.
As we come upon this election, it's important for everybody to get out and vote. It is critical. Voting is the cornerstone of our democracy. It lends a voice to everyone, to the people, to make sure that America is the society that we want it to be, that everybody wants it to be. If you don't get out and vote, you really don't have anything to complain about. My name is Troy Rafferty, and I want to encourage everybody to just vote.
Gilmarine, your one-stop shop for all your boating needs. We offer a vast selection of parts, accessories, and electronics. Discover our range of used boats in every size, shape, and brand, all ready to get you on the water today. And we provide expert advice and top-notch customer service to ensure you have the best boating experience. We service all outboard, inboards, stern drives, jet drives, and personal watercraft. Our certified staff will get you back on the water. Visit Gilmarine at 3541 West Fairfield Drive, Pensacola.
Florida's near-total abortion ban outlaws abortion before many women even realize they're pregnant. The ban means many survivors of rape, incest, and human trafficking will be forced to carry their attacker's child against their will. The ban forces doctors to delay critical medical care until their patient is on the brink of death or face felony charges. This ban puts the health, lives, and futures of women in our state at risk. Get the truth about Florida's near-total abortion ban.
Get your tickets now to EntreCon 2024. You'll learn how to turn your dreams of starting a business into a reality. Current business owners will learn the secrets to making your business more successful. With 31 speakers, you'll have access to a diverse range of experts, actionable strategies, and dynamic networking to help you with your path to greatness. EntreCon 2024 is November 13th and 14th at 3 locations in downtown Pensacola. Get your tickets at EntreConPensacola.com. That's EntreConPensacola.com.
Welcome back to the hottest spot in town. This is Sunshine's Corner, and I cannot believe that when we're talking a conversation like this, Jeff, the clock ticks so fast because there's so much that builds up that you want to share, and it's like, but we were talking about something as far as women. Let's go back and talk about that.
Yeah, you know, we talk about gender equity.
Yeah.
Again, one of these negative words like reverse, this one's undermine. Project 2025 would undermine gender equity across the government. And so there is now what's called a White House Gender Policy Council. And this would eliminate the White House Gender Policy Council. And what it does, it promotes contraception access, gender-based violence protection. We know how that is so important. And just women's health equity across the board. It would also promote pro-life and very narrow definitions of families. Even a single mom's not necessarily wouldn't fit that definition.
Most certainly.
So there are a lot of things that women should really be watching and paying attention to.
I agree.
Because that is important. And like I said, it's to have an office or a council focused on gender equity, and to have that removed is
detrimental.
Not a good thing.
Not a good thing at all. But I'm just being real. And what I want our people to learn to do, even with Project 2025, if you go to the internet, it's there.
That's right.
Fact check. Fact check.
If you Google Project 2025, you can find
everything.
All kinds of resources. Some of the things I'm sharing came from Democracy Forward. There's several other groups. And in full transparency, there is a Project 2025 website. So if you don't think somebody else has altered the document,
of course they have.
You can go and read the scary on the scary site.
Exactly.
Happy Halloween.
Woo!
But yeah, like you said, it goes back to education.
Yes, it does.
And it goes back to community in your life. One thing that I read that I think is important to so many people in our community, even public transportation. That's a government agency. They want to reduce the ability to have public transportation, which allows people to get to work and be active in their community.
Exactly.
As I've heard so many say, they want to erase all of us that don't look, think, or love like them.
They do.
So, but we're not going to let them.
There you go. And it's important, ladies and gentlemen, we do this now. We've got to be that person, that generation that's not going to allow anything to be just thrown at us, and we are going to accept this. Again, I say, let's make the difference. How are we going to do that? By voting. I want to reiterate the fact that anything you need to do, don't just take anybody's. You don't have to take my word. Fact check. You don't have to take Jeff's word. Fact check. And that way, you're not taking anybody's word. You know for yourself. But don't just allow a person to dictate to you what they want you to believe, because sometimes it's the way a person plants a seed. When you keep hearing something, you tend to fall for it. The example I want to use is everybody thinks that I hear some people, there was a guy in Atlanta that was talking about the stimulus check. That didn't come from him. But you don't know that because you didn't fact check. Now, he held it up to put his name on it.
There were payments that came to citizens in the Obama administration as well as the Biden administration. They just weren't narcissistic enough to insist that their name be put on it.
Thank you. That's the difference. We've got to be able to hold people accountable. Even with these candidates, let's hold them accountable for what they're saying. And if you see that the accountability is not there, fact check again. I believe in that, because nowadays you don't have to just run over to the library. You got one of these in your hand. You can do what you want to do to find out what you need. But don't just take somebody's word.
And also, these phones can also be dangerous. Make sure where you're getting stuff, because technology and AI, I heard somebody say early voting started way back in October or something because I saw it on the internet. I'm like, Google's not always our friend.
No, it's
not. So be careful on the internet. It is a tool, but it's a tool to be used responsibly, like any other
Exactly.
tool.
But that shows to go back to the education. You can tell when something's been fabricated. And if you don't have that knowledge, you understand what I'm saying? We got to make sure that our kids that are coming up, that's not taken away from them. And one cliche that I love, that my mother, rest her soul, she would always tell us, baby, if you don't know where you come from, you're not going to make it where you're going. Because if you do not know anything, and do not allow anybody to take that away that is so prevalent in our communities, so that we can make the right decision. Fact check, I say again.
And one last thing, I hope we have, we're not policy people, we're doing the best to share information that we have, but I hope we've piqued people's curiosity.
Exactly.
By looking at how this impacts locally, in their own family, their own pocketbook. But I also want to just kind of wrap up. I know we're getting closer on our time.
3 minutes.
But I heard somebody say the other day, when all this is said and done, in history, and your family, and your children, and your grandchildren, look back and say, what did you do?
Exactly. Do something.
What's the answer going to be?
That's right. Exactly.
So we all need to be prepared to answer that question.
Absolutely. And keep this thought in mind. It has to be something, because everything that's being done is trying to be torn down. It's being talked about in a negative way. That should say something right there to you that's going to speak volumes. Because if it weren't something that you were fearing, you wouldn't be doing it. So therefore, listen, do the right thing. Number one, go out and vote. And Jeff, I can't say to you how important and how pleased I am that you get up and come. I can text. He said, I'm on it, girlfriend. I got it. And I appreciate that, because we only want the community. Because he's such an activist in the community. Jeff is always, you may not see his face out front all the time, but he's always doing something.
Well, thank you. And
you are.
Likewise.
You are. And we appreciate that. The fact that he's going to be here with me on Tuesday as well, because we're going to go live.
I'll be here.
That's right. We're going to be here. But ladies and gentlemen, please, we have had a fantastic day, but the time is up. I can't believe it. We've talked about Project 2025. Let me encourage you, number one, please exercise your right to vote. Do not sit at home and say, oh, maybe, or I'm not going to do it. My vote won't be, it's not of importance, because yes, it is. We can make the decisions that we need that's going to affect our community the right way. As I leave with you every single day, I say it like this because I've been saying this ever since I've been in the broadcast business, been 37 years. Because I mean this from my heart. Never, ever, ever lose your focus. Always remember this. If you keep God first in whatever you do, I guarantee you, you're going to be a total success. So until tomorrow, we got another fantastic day lined up for you. Know that I love you with a perfect kind of love. Keep shining while I'm gone. Go out and vote. Go out and vote. Go out and vote. Early voting ends on Saturday.
Saturday's
the last day of early voting. So you can get out there and go to any voting poll there is. You don't have to go straight to yours. Just go out and vote. Be heard. Until then, my friend, keep on loving and keep on shining. We'll see you tomorrow.
Sunshine's Corner, being brought to you by Quint and Richie Studer.